Most experts agree that raising a family takes teamwork. But when parents aren't on the same page, your kids and your relationship can really suffer. So today, we're pointing out 5 things that may be stopping you from parenting as a team. City 5 relationship coach, Dr. Matt Townsend, joins us with what to watch for. So there's really a lot of joy with, having kids.
Greatest gifts from heaven. But then they kind of turn on you. And they realize that if they can just kind of create a wedge, they don't know it consciously, but they know that mom and dad have different games going on.
Absolutely,
here.
they're
so
really
they start
smart.
playing us, and once they start playing us, we get divided, and then we don't have time, and we never catch up.
So do you think, as a society, we really downplay the strain?
Oh yeah.
Before marriage, before the talks.
But it is like one of the top 5 things couples struggle with. It's one of the top 5 things I hear is co-parenting. How do we parent these kids together? How do we get on the same page? So almost, it's easily 30 to 40% of the problems I'm dealing with parents are parenting issues.
Really? So with their relationship too.
That's right.
What are we downplaying? You know, what should we be talking about? Maybe even, should you be talking about this before you're even married?
Well, you know what? What I found is nothing really matters before you're married. Because we say we think we know what we're gonna do, but we're all chemicaled up. We're all charged and excited, and we only see unicorns and nymphs, fairies, and all these wonderful things. But in the end, the reality is we just need to notice when it's not working so well, when there's some tension, and then we need to start doing some different things. There are things that get in the way. And we're gonna go through about 5 things that break up the team if you're not careful. The first one, by the way, is using 2 different playbooks. Each of us came in with a playbook for what a good parent does, because our parents did it, and look how we turned out. We are the bomb.
Right,
and so,
no question.
But the problem with it is you can't play from 2 playbooks. It won't work.
And I love this
team
team
get on that
analogy.
Same page, right?
It's like, you played a sport, right? Just you have to use that towards a relationship. So what do they get caught up in to do this right or to do it wrong?
Well, one of the dilemmas is they get caught up in their point of view. They think their way is right. They actually think there is one way to raise a child, and it's their way. But the problem is, a lot of times you'll notice that one parent might be a lot more controlling and one tends to be a lot more relaxed, and we can't figure out which one's better, and then we can only see the evidence for why we need to control. Our partner can see the evidence for why we need to relax, but in reality, the kids need both.
Okay, and I'm seeing the pendulum swing here. So there's this balance of power. So is there a better approach, or it's just
part
blending?
of it starting to talk and blend. And by the way, also we'll find out depending on each kid. Some kids, if you push too hard, I'm out of here. If you don't give me some boundaries and some discipline, then we'll create other problems. So we need to start creating our playbook. So I suggest couples sit down and very intentionally start identifying what's working with the kids. I'd even get out a book, maybe a journal, and maybe when you go to dinner or whatever, start writing down and identifying what these kids need. Sometimes they need a harder hand. Some need, more focus. Some need more space. Some need more choice.
What about winging it? How are your thoughts?
Mercy!
No winging it.
So many times, one of the big problems is a lot of us, and I'm one of them, we tend to parent by winging it or willing it. So we either try to wing our parenting, which is like, we'll just make it up as we go. We'll figure it out. We don't really think much ahead. We just are winging it left and right. Some of us don't wing it. We just are willing it. We are praying and hoping and desiring our children to turn out great, again, with no plan.
It seems like it would relieve stress, but really it's just adding it up on the other side of things.
You need a plan. You've got to spend some time. So one of the things I'd suggest on this is make time so that we're no longer winging it. Let's get some ideas for each kid. What we're going to work on this year for this kid, or with this child, with this one. Figure out what they need, and great, go exercise all the will you want. Go try to enforce all of this stuff. But in the end, wouldn't it be better to have a plan and then come back to your spouse regularly and say, how do you think it's going with so-and-so? And just once a week, maybe, once every 2 weeks, 20 minutes, and let's just spend 5 minutes per kid and figure out how we think we're doing, what do we see works, what do we see doesn't work, and let's start making something more intentional.
And when you make this plan, do you include the kids in it? Do you let them know? That's always a weird thing. Hey, mom and dad, or hey,
No, they already know you're conspiring.
That's what I wanted to know.
They already know you're working it.
Yeah, you're right.
But now what I might do, I might even on an annual basis bring them in and say, what do you want to get better at? What do you need? What I found is a lot of times they don't know, but if you just listen to what they're going through, you can hear what they need. I've had kids that weren't getting good grades, and then I'd say, do you need us to take your phone away? Would that help? And I wasn't doing it mean. And they're like, yeah, probably. And we're like, okay.
Answered itself.
But then all of a sudden, I need to be more disciplined to take the phone away. And almost always, they work their way back, and then we can create a better way to handle it.
And what about, you talk about practices versus principles. So this is, now we're getting into very sports terms here.
This is totally. But a lot of us are so fixated on our practice that we are so caught up in our child playing football. They have to play football, but the wife may want them to play an instrument. And so now all of a sudden we're fighting with each other and with the child about the practice of what we want. But what I teach, that if you really want to get on the same page with your spouse, make sure that behind every practice we're clear about the principle. What are we trying to use football to accomplish here? Are we trying to get them to learn leadership? Are we trying to get them to learn discipline? What are we using the music to accomplish? Because once we know the principle, then if football doesn't work, then maybe it's just as good to have them play an instrument if we're looking for discipline.
Right, because at the end of the day, to be an NFL star or a famous musician, it's what you learn from it.
And we need the principle. And most of us really are looking for principles out of life, but we're so fixated on the practical and the practices of life.
And power struggle. So we talked about this. So do you parent from top down, or
think about
what's the way to?
It makes me so mad, because I do it all the time too. But I look at it as a farmer and seed. This is the metaphor.
Okay.
So which is more valuable and needed, the farmer or the seed? So does a farmer need a seed more to succeed, or does a seed need a farmer more to succeed? And what I have found is a lot of seeds can grow without a farmer. I have weeds all over my yard, and I've never planted one of them. So seeds have the power to grow without a farmer. But farmers don't have the power to do anything without the seed. They can't grow it without the seed. So in the end, what I teach is the children are the seed, the parents are the farmer. Our job is to create the best conditions for optimal growth. And so always remember that the seed has to grow on its own. Let the seed do its growth. Understand the seed, create the conditions, and understand the power is always in the seed, not the farmer.
So wherever, anyone who's watching now, married, your kids are old or younger, things aren't always perfect. So where you are right now, do you just find that thing that's broken and kind of work from there?
That's where we start.
Because how do we sum this up for everyone? There's so much to take in.
One of the problems we do as parents is we always focus on what's broken. We focus on what our partner's not doing. We focus on what our children aren't doing. But the funny thing is, there is power in what's already working. There is so much good in what the kids do well. If I see that my kids, in fact, amazing thing just happened. My kids wanted a video game console. I wouldn't buy it for them. They got motivated and they went on KSL Classifieds, found one, bought it on their own, drove and picked it up. I wasn't a part of any of it. And they are so motivated because they've done something powerful together. So now that I know that video games are actually empowering my kids in a way, then I might use more of those things to help them get more games. So I try to find what is actually working, what is good, instead of only seeing what I don't like.
Focus on the positive.
Identify 3 things a day, or 3 things a day, or 3 things a week that you see that are really good and working with your kids.
So awesome. You
cool
always
stuff.
it's so cool.
And
the analogies are awesome too.
You.
So people want more of you. It's Valentine's Day.
It's huge coming up. Go to matttownsend.com. But another thing we're doing that's awesome, April 21st, we are doing a date night. Our current date night is sold out in Salt Lake City, but we're doing a date night at Eagle Rock Middle School up in Idaho Falls.
Mark your calendar.
We're
Can't get better than that.
We're on the road, so just go to matttownsend.com.
Valentine's Day in April. Thank you so much, Matt. We appreciate you per usual.